Welcome to the final episode of MenheRafflesia with me, Fantasia Bite. Happy Halloween to all who celebrate. Decadently or trivially. This is gonna be the final story, and then we will do the epilogue called Flower Bed. And hopefully it'll all come together. Though I don't know how other people will take it. Drizzle was the one who played this off stream last year and had really wanted to get around to streaming it, which, you know, I have been doing for the last 5 weeks now. And I've been really enjoying it. And it's whew, gosh. Didn't know I could enjoy Yandere so much. But MenheRafflesia's commentary on not just like mental health or being like super mentally ill, but also like the tragedy of some people's lives and that there's lots of things outside of their control that really fuck them up. I think is relevant, though, especially because it like is kind of also a fetishization of yandere-ness and yandere tropes. Doesn't go as far as I would want it to go about these topics. Because you could easily think that the story is basically saying it's okay that some people are so fucked up by their lives and trauma they take that they have hurt other people, and I don't think that that's okay. But also, as a horror fan, I don't mind a little bit of murder. As a treat. Just murder as a treat. Just a little bit of murder. I want to know who pushed the protag off the bridge. Oh, you in last episode? I guess it doesn't matter. Though there is a remake. I don't know if they added more story. We'll probably end up playing that one next year though. Want to play the original version first. It seemed a little bit contrived. Could have easily have written it like, oh, and he lost his balance and he fell. This story is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to anything is a coincidence. Sharon. I say man got pushed off a bridge not mattering because I've read fan fiction and other amateurish fiction, and this does feel like the beginnings of someone getting into writing, not someone who's like well versed in it. And so it's just like they didn't want to explain it a lot. And they just needed him off the falling off the bridge so he could die next to his loved one. You know? It didn't really matter who pushed him. There weren't really that many characters in that plot line, and there certainly weren't any other named ones that weren't in the hospital. I can hear the sound of the wind. Is this the outside? Have I finally gotten out? Open your eyes. Isn't the sky beautiful? A blue sky and a flower field spread out before my eyes. Hey, isn't it a wonderful world? This world is so beautiful. Here, someone has planted a flower field. Somebody has raised these flowers, and one by one they bloom. It might have been you, or it might have been me, or it might have been someone else. I hope that you too will raise a flower. Depending on the one who raised it, this seed might bloom into a completely different flower. From the flower that you grow, what kind of color may bloom? We always justify our actions with no regard for others' feelings. We commit numerous sins without even noticing them. Even though we know our violent actions will hurt others. Even though we know our cruel words will hurt others. We all know this, but pretend not to know. The more we sin, the more we avert our eyes and push the blame on others. We will not realize we are the guilty ones. You know as well, didn't you? That in this world of ours, even a simple truth like, I love you, will become twisted and distorted. A terribly cruel and irrational world. Hi back, I'm Fanta. I'm just a nobody. Without dreams, or hopes, or money, or power, or family, or friends, or lovers. I'm just a single guy who has yet to obtain a single thing. Absent-mindedly, I take the usual road home. Even if I were to think about it, wanna take the same road tomorrow? After all, there's no guarantee that tomorrow will be better than today. Shut up and keep walking. I walk with my head down, eyes vacant. My house is still a ways off. Suddenly, a flower appeared at my feet. An immature flower that hasn't yet bloomed. It's just like me, destined to be forgotten. A foolish existence spent walking back and forth along the same road. It's as if that late blooming flower represents myself, afraid of moving forward. That flower's name was Jasmine. Its lovely small flowers and sensual aroma charm all onlookers. Before long, at the end of the road, the flower of love will bloom. Aw, you're the dad I never attempted to have. How can you attempt to have a dad? Unless it's like grandfather theory, like time travel thingy? I know what you mean, I'm just like getting into semantics because I'm just like, the dad you never attempted to have. Unless your dad attempted to reach out to you and you were just like, fuck you, dude. That's what we did. Mitsuri Jasmine. This one's Drizzle's favorite. A girl overflowing with cheer. Oh, you're not smiling. Harboring a deep darkness in her chest. Enticing you. Now, let your most beloved flower bloom. I believe Jasmine's supposed to be the first one in like the order that's suggested, but it makes way more sense to us to be the last one. Mine reaches, and I don't care. That's fair. The classroom is noisy as usual. I sat beside the window, chin resting on my hand as I stared outside. Hey! What you said just now, was that true? What? Don't play dumb with me! Just now, I overheard your conversation with Yukimaru. The type of girls you like. That's what you talked about, right? A bright, energetic, and lively girl? That's your type, isn't it? In that case... Look right here! She's right in front of you! It's me! Aren't I just full of energy? So bright and so cheerful. Exactly our ideal kind of girl, no? Well... This girl is Matsuri, one of my classmates. We're in the same class, however, we never really talk to each other that much. Hey! Don't ignore me, please. By any chance, Ataru, could it be you dislike me? They let you be a dick to her and Ivy in particular. I have no idea why. It's not like that. What? How boring. Anyway. Speaking of which, Itaru, you don't have a girlfriend, right? Well, isn't that just great? Won't you try going out with me? Together we're sure to have fun every day. Are you prepared to become my personal sex slave? Yes, I'll do it! Anything for my beloved Itaru's sake. Not. What are you making me say? I am a girl. Itaru, you pervert. Well, maybe Itaru's just a little bit kinky. Jeez. What the heck? Ataru, you big dummy. Even though I'm trying so hard to talk to you like this, I'm a perfect match for you, don't you think so? That's it! So how about this? Let's have a trial period, or something like that. Just kidding. I'm really serious about it. Then... that's right, Ataru. Are you free tomorrow? If it's okay with you, would you like to go on a date with me? Look, tomorrow we only have morning classes, right? Hey, what's with the long face? Well then, one day is fine. Just one day, please? Pretty please? With pleasure. Really? Hooray! Thanks, Ataru. It's a promise. Well then, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, I guess you can also be mean to Hydrogena as well. Ataru's not a really nice person. Not usually. But I do think that Ataru's characterization is kind of a dig at otaku. And just how, like, they do, or I guess technically incels. People who want attention from, like, women, but also don't respect women. And also, like, especially with this storyline, I think that it's interesting, like, the gender dynamic. Because, like, in general, having someone, like, all over you and, like, low-key begging you to date them, like, for any gender can be off-putting. But because of how, like, the gender binary is, like, expected, especially in America, to be very much, like, men asking out women, and women, like, either playing hard to get, or, like, are supposed to be, like, demure, or generally supposed to be on the receiving end of that sort of thing, of, like, asking out thing. Even without it being, like, cringy in the sense of, like, please date me, like, there are some people who are off-put by girls and women who are forward with their feelings. Which kind of feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. Because the types of people who I feel like this game is criticizing with Itaru's character are the exact kind of people who would be like, nobody likes me, I can't get any tail. And then if someone actually does have interest in them, they're gonna be all like, sticking their nose up and being like, you're not pretty enough, blah 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 blah. Which I think some people, especially cis straight men, really need to be reminded just how shitty that is and how they shouldn't do it. And of course, like, there's the whole, like, not just manosphere thing, but also, like, the whole thing in society right now, especially Western society and the Imperial Core, where it's just like, oh no, men are in crisis, they're so lonely. And it's like, a lot of people are lonely right now. And, like, when you grow up in a society that tells you that the only emotions you're allowed to show are anger and, like, pride, I guess, and, like, not being able to show intimacy, even platonic intimacy with your friends, and basically, like, off-putting all your emotional intimacy and, like, emotional needs on, like, a partner if you get one. Of course, lots of men are stunted and, like, in a bad emotional place and lonely and cut off. Even outside of COVID and the internet and all the other social things that'll affect someone regardless of gender. It's like, it's compounded. Which a lot of people don't have any patience for the whole argument of men are in crisis, because men are always in crisis. I mean, everyone's different, Sonny. I mean, we're ace too, but, like, we have two partners. We have two partners, and one of them is ace, and one of them is arrow ace. And you can have loneliness without it being, like, sexual or romantically, like, solved, or without that necessity. I mean, I think the lack of community is what is causing a lot of, like, straight cis men to have those problems. But I get what you're saying. When you're a lot of ace people don't have those same drives, and, like, even with society bearing down on you and telling you the way you're supposed to be, you'll just be like, well, I don't care about those things. Though at the same time, I will say that, like, society and culture definitely have a big effect, because before we knew we were ace, we were literally before we knew we were ace and before we were trans, we were trying our best to be a good cis man, boy thing. And we like put ourselves into sexual situations and like had sex and stuff, and even ended up getting SA'd and thinking that, you know, that's what we were supposed to do because, or sorry, that's what we were supposed to do, covet sets, and that we shouldn't complain about being SA'd because men are supposed to like sets because of the culture that we were brought up in, despite the fact that we weren't really enjoying it. And we're a sets positive ace person right now, and we do like some sexual things, but like we definitely have had trouble in relationships since with the whole expectation of sets. And not necessarily being very interested in it. I guess we're more interested in fiction, honestly. Hey, Orchid! Hey, Wamazi! Good morning and happy All Hallows Eve. Rock the baby. And please, yes, eat your food, Sonny. Please, I beg of you. I beg of you. For folks just joining us, this is the last episode of MenheRafflesia, which is sort of an anthology, or we've been playing it as an anthology, dating sim visual novel yandere horror game about mental illness. With a really shitty protagonist. Because of course. I really enjoyed the tangent I just went on. That was one of my favorite tangents just now. Sorry for accidentally triggering anyone if I did. Somehow or another, I get suckered into a date with Matsuri. She came on awfully strong too. But it can't be helped if it's just for a single day. Without any consideration for my feelings, Matsuri left with a skip in her step. That's kind of fair. She did kind of like force herself into a date with him. Which certainly isn't fair. And I guess that kind of goes into the thing that I was talking about before with the expectations of society. Where it's like, well, you have the attention of a girl, so you're supposed to be happy. Even if, you know, your consent is being disrespected. It's not actually starving if it's more than 800 calories a day, right? It depends on how many calories you're burning a day. It depends on when you're doing it. Cause like if you don't eat at all, and then you intake all your calories in a day in a single meal at the end of the day, that's not very healthy. And also it sounds like you're kind of bargaining with the concept of starving. As someone with an eating disorder, I totally understand though, because we struggle with eating all the time. Like, to make sure we ate before stream was like such a hassle. But we knew that we would get really cranky if we didn't eat. It's also hard to eat when you're sad sometimes. Spooky, scary skeletons just want to scare you with skeleton. Today was an especially tiring day. Any way I put it, it's Matsuri's fault. To think that tomorrow I'll have to put up with that noisy girl's flirtations again. I feel uneasy just thinking about it. In the first place, I'm not fond of such easy girls. I would be much happier if pure-hearted girls were to look my way instead. Well, I get to see my favorite late-night anime at least. Time to go to bed. What's this uncomfortable feeling? I can feel someone's gaze on me. Huh. That must have been my imagination. I ignored it and crept inside my futon. Actually, this game's social commentary is really strong with this episode. And I was like, oh, I don't want an easy girl to look at me. I want a girl who is virginal and innocent. Gosh. Gag me with a spoon. MenheRafflesia. Masuri Jasmine. I'm glad today is better for you, at least, Sonny. This is... Oh. This is Ataru's house. Living alone must be rough on him. Isn't there anything I can do for him? Ataru, I want to become your strength. Hey, Ataru? Ataru. Will you kill me? Be afraid. Be very afraid. Depending on who raises it, a completely different flower may bloom. Pfft. Look, we're in the Big Apple! Today is the day of my unwanted date with Matsuri. She was in high spirits right from the start, dragging me along to many places. Man, I'm beat. Hey, Ataru! Did you watch last night's anime? Super duper interesting, wasn't it? You didn't watch it? Really? Hey there, Ataru. It's boring if you don't get worked up. It's a date! Shouldn't we enjoy ourselves even more? Hey, is it alright to link arms with you? If I ask, you'll just say no, so I'll grab your arm anyway. I'm grabbing your arm tightly. What's this? You seem to be enjoying it, Ataru. Maybe. Ataru, you're finally showing your true side. That's right. Ataru, it looks like you're actually a tsundere? Hey, Ataru, do you like me? Hey, as I thought, go out with me for real next time. Because I also really like you. Well, sure. I see. I'm so glad. I really thought that you might hate me. Then once again from the start, nice to meet you, Ataru. She has so many BPD red flags. Holy shit. Thanks for seeing me off, Ataru. Today was so much fun, but it has come to an end. It feels a little bit lonely. Hey, Ataru? Will you go out with me like this again? No need to ask, you're my girlfriend. Yeah, thanks. Ataru, I like you very much, you know. Well, see you at school tomorrow. Mitsuri started to jog away, but then she stopped and turned around. Ataru! Thanks for today! I like you very much. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Mitsuri waved to me with her arms flung wide. I also waved back to her. I continued waving my hand until Mitsuri finally left my sight. Hey Mitsuri, you're really cute. That thought may have lingered on my mind. It's kind of interesting playing as a tsundere. We all struggle. MenheRafflesia, Matsuri Jasmine. Ow. I poked myself too hard. Oh, don't we all have BPD red flags? I mean, not everyone, but we certainly, as a streamer, have run into a lot of folks. Not just viewers, but also other VTubers. There are plenty of BPD red flags. Though some flags are redder than others. Because someone can have a BPD red flag without it being so concerning. Because just noticing, like, oh, this person has some things that associate with a mental illness or neurodivergence. They might have this thing. Like, a lot of times we might be like, oh, this person seems autistic. For example. I guess it just depends on the severity of the thing. But, like, kind of being really pushy and guilt-trippy to get someone to go on a date with you, and then like trying to connect with them, and them being kind of like off-put or sort of unresponsive and being like, do you hate me? Is like, I don't know, it's very BPD. Fucking Nova. Beautiful princess disorder. Fucking Christ, I need that. I need that. Well, I already have it, but now I have to fucking clip this. Good thing I have a clip button. Fucking beautiful princess disorder. Nova is quite funny. Today was quite the hectic day. Sure enough, Matsuri sent me some mail. And phone messages too. A lot of messages. Around 10 per hour. Opening them, I'm worried about you. Are you alright? What are you doing now? And the sort. To tell the truth, I don't recall having a change of dresses with her. However, I didn't care about such things any longer. I mean, she had already pushed past my boundaries, so I might as well accept it. Matsuri. Maybe I was mistaken about you. I thought you were an easy girl, but you showed a surprisingly maidenly side. What exactly is this feeling? I can't take my mind off of Matsuri's smiling face. Am I in love with Matsuri? Because I'm feeling somewhat in the mood, I decided to do it once before bed. I think it's actually quite common for people to masturbate before bed, actually. Helps you get to sleep. Well, some folks. Itaru. Itaru, I love you. Seems kinda stalkery. I do like this game, but I do wish that there was more of it. Because, like, they're like these little vignettes, kind of. And I think the game would be so much more effective if the routes were actually longer. Because with the short amount of time for each run, like, either there's time skips, like with Daffodil's story, or like everything happens really, really quickly. Like like things happen diegetically quickly. Like after one fucking date, my character is like, "Oh, am I in love?" And it's like, it doesn't let that slow build happen, you know? I mean, I don't expect everything to be like Clannad or something, but at the same time, like, at the same time, I'm a little disappointed by that. I'm hoping that the remake adds a little bit more meat to the bones, because, like, the writing's, I will admit the writing in this game is not that strong. And maybe it's the translation, I don't know, because there's, as far as I know, there's only like one game that Charon has made that has an official translation. Everything else that if you want to play in English has fan translations, right? But even keeping that in mind, it's not like, there seems like there's a lot of really descriptive language, or a lot of like there's, the ideas are there and the themes are there, but it's not executed that well in the writing. And I actually don't know exactly how old this game in particular is, this original version, but like, in the way that I can appreciate even stuff that's a little bit rough, I do see a lot of potential in this. And it does make me a little sad that, like, I think that a lot of people who might randomly play this game or games like it might not get a lot of, like, what the game is offering because of those weaknesses, and even regardless of the weakness in the writing, just the amount of time, like, it's just, it feels just so quick. Like, it's weird to say, but like, the suspension of disbelief is really challenged with how fast the routes go. And that makes me really sad. We did not make this joke. We found it from a TikTok. Well, thank you for being honest. You could have literally had like, let me keep the idea of you coming up with that intact. Because it's not like we use TikTok very much, so we probably wouldn't have run into it. But thank you for your honesty. I'm not really a BPD red flag, I'm more of a BPD pink flag. Class is over! Another school day has already ended. I was just thinking about heading home when Matsuri came up to me. Ataru, let's go home together. Others are watching us. Just ignore them. After all, we're going out with each other. So, in the end, we left school together today as well. We really are just like a pair of lovers. Hmm? Ataru, you're still using a flip phone? Not gonna switch to a smartphone? You'll be left behind, you know. See, I'm also using a flip phone. It's really precious to me. I just love it to bits. Same with the people precious to me. Just want to love and be loved to bits. It's nothing. Hey, Ataru? What is it? I love you! I thought I should say it. I don't want to stop! Ataru, I love you. 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 I'm beat. Hey, Ataru? I did my best. Am I a good girl? Yep. Dimension, yep. Hooray! Thanks! Ataru! Well then, that's this. True. Come on, true. Ah! No! The head pads! The head pads! Ah! Well, it can't be helped. Ataru is giving me some ace vibes though I guess not everyone likes kissing, even allosexuals. Yes. You're a very good girl. Ataru. More. Over and over again we manifested our love. I wish that this time would never end. Those were my thoughts. Okay, the writing has a few moments. I don't know. It's something about we manifested our love that really, I don't know. It did something to me. Made my brain meat vibrate. Before I knew it, Masuri was all I could think about. Might be because she's the first girl I ever went out with. Even so, am I truly in love with her? I might just be in love with love itself. Even so, I thought it would be fine. I like Matsuri, and that's all that matters. Matsuri, I love you. Again, I could feel someone's gaze. From the day I first talked with Matsuri, it feels like someone has been watching me. What, exactly? A burglar? No way. I probably locked all the doors, so I decided to sleep without worrying about it. Couldn't you be both, Orchid? Can't you be a girl and a bug? A bug girl, as it were? Speaking into the void. We have a friend who's often like, maybe we're too brain damaged to have friends, and goes around soft blocking half of its friends. It's somewhat tempting to be like, bangs head on a wall. We have given ourselves brain damage too. It's fine. It doesn't make one bad. But based on previous experience with codependence, we feel like that way lies codependence. Also, it really sucks when people use brain damage as an insult. Maybe that's a whole nother vent. I kind of understand that though. I'm not sure if I want to say it automatically will lead to codependence. I think that telling someone that the way that they're putting themselves down isn't like, that the way that they're being derogatory towards themselves is not like valid, or rather that the thing that they are using to categorize why they aren't like lovable or have friends or likable or are lonely, and telling them that, you know, lots of people have brain damage, or lots of people are depressed, or lots of people have these problems, or lots of people have BPD. I think that that's valid, even if you're not like super close to a person. If someone I barely knew was like, oh, I'm unlovable because I've been abused, I'd be like, that is untrue. That is patently untrue. Even if you don't have anyone in your life that's like making you feel valued or loved or whatever, that doesn't mean you can't have that. And no mental health thing or like disability or neurological difference makes anyone inherently unlovable. I don't think anyone's unlovable. Or, you know, not deserving of friends. It based on that. It's like about your actions and how you treat people. And a lot of times people have really bad lives that give them terrible outcomes. Like in this game that we're playing. I totally see where you're coming from though. And when you've experienced codependency and you know what to look for and you're seeing the red flags, like kind of like doing anything that feels like you are playing into it feels like a mistake, you know? But at the same time, I think that like completely like being silent about it, or like just agreeing with someone, or ignoring when they say stuff like that doesn't necessarily help either. But you're important too. Like, if you feel like you're not in a place to offer that emotional support, then you shouldn't. Sorry you're going through that. And there's like that like sort of feeling of like being manipulated into a reaction of someone being like, oh, I am bad, or I am shit, or whatever. And like as a compassionate person, you generally want to respond with, no, not that at all. No, you're so this, you're so that. You're so the opposite of these bad things you're calling yourself. And it's just like, sometimes someone's fishing for compliments or fishing for being told that they're, you know, good or not evil or, you know, worthy of love. And I mean, in the world we live in, I understand why some people have a deficit of that, you know? Self-harming and being like, yeah, we did this thing and now we have brain damage is maybe not ideal. Oh, definitely not ideal. And there's a lot of ways to have brain damage. If you've been drunk even once, then technically you've had some amount of brain damage. So that's a good thing to iterate, that there's lots of different forms of brain damage. It doesn't have to include you hurting yourself. Sorry to have glazed over that part. It's Haru. It's Haru. It's Haru. Embrace me more tightly. It's Haru. Tighter. Tight enough to break my body. Please. Break me, it's Haru. It's Haru. I love you. So grip me tightly. Even more tightly. Being supportive is hard. Oh, it damn sure is, especially when you're not in the best place either. We often say, you can't pour from an empty glass. But shit, even we sometimes pour the few drops we have. Because we hate to see someone suffering alone. Because we know what that can do to a person. Today is a holiday. Naturally, there's no need to go to school. Who goes to school on Halloween? So, I won't be able to see Matsuri today. I feel so lonely without her. Can't get Matsuri's smiling face out off my mind. I want to meet with her. What was that? I definitely heard a sound from underneath the floorboards just now. This time, I was determined to find the true identity behind the mysterious gaze. Is anybody there? Was it my imagination again? I was about to give up and return to my room. At that moment, I felt a dull pain at the back of my head. It seems I've been out cold for a while. Before my eyes, a light suddenly shone. Good morning, Ataru. How'd you doing? I've been watching for a long time. Watching you, Ataru. You must have noticed, right? That I know everything about you, Ataru. For the longest time, I've been watching everything you do, Ataru. I've been hiding under your floorboards with bated breath. From the day that you told me that you liked me. Did you know? I know all about you. Your phone number, your email address, your birthday, your family, your past. I know everything you're up to, Itaru. When you study, take a bath, use the toilet, eat your meals, brush your teeth. Everything. From this spot, whatever Itaru does, I can see it all. Isn't that amazing? Whenever you call my name out while masturbating, of course I know that too. I'm so happy, Itaru. So happy. We're really meant for one another. Itaru, you might not know it, but we were masturbating together. So, how was I last night? It must have felt so great, right? What a night to remember. You're the only one in the world who can have this erotic body all to yourself. Hey, don't you think that's awesome? Ataru, what's wrong? That face you're making at me. Taru, it's lovely too. I like you. I really like you. Ataru, I love you. Ataru, do you love me too? Burning red flag. I hate you. That's how it is. Well then. Matsuri's just a worthless girl. Of course. Matsuri's just a worthless girl, right? And there's no value in keeping such a worthless girl alive. Hey! Look! See how the girl you hate is getting hurt? Aren't you happy? Hey, aren't you happy now? Mitsuri was hitting her own face. Truly a strange sight. My eyes were transfixed upon Mitsuri's face, filled with insanity. I couldn't move my body, neither my arms nor my legs, because my arms and feet had been bound with handcuffs. Unable to stop Mitsuri's self-inflicted mutilation, I could do nothing but watch. No, she was doing this in front of me on purpose. Oh. Ouch, ouch. It hurts, Ataru, it hurts! It hurts, 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 it hurts. It hurts. That's right. Hey, if Ataru won't touch these breasts, aren't they worthless sacks of meat? That's just how it is. Well then, off with them. Matsuri happily brought out a sharp survival knife and began cutting into her own chest, while I was forced to watch. It hurts! It hurts, Ataru! How is it? Aren't you glad? It hurts, Ataru! Matsuri mutilated herself again, and I could only watch. Her blood splattered on my face. I couldn't save Matsuri. I had told Matsuri, I hate you. All I had to do was say I love you. But I hate you spewed out of my mouth instead. I had no right to save her. Such words should never have been uttered so easily. Filled with regret, I watched until the very end. As my tears overflowed without limit. I'm sorry, Matsuri. I'm so sorry. I didn't know anything about you. In the end, I had never tried to understand you. How long had this torment lasted? At last, Matsuri's body fell upon mine. She had died. Her empty eyes stared into mine. I wanted to be broken by you. Although, it might have been my imagination. I heard Matsuri's voice. One last time. Bad end. A terribly cruel and irrational world. So, before I show the good end, I have a few things to say. So, okay. The context of our traumatic life really informs how we see this game and really informs how we see this story in particular and why it resonates with us. What Orca just said about, what bullet dodged, kind of like, it stabbed me a little. It stabbed me a little. Because it's like, on one hand, sort of, right? I mean, like, I don't know if anyone's gonna think differently once they see the good end. I mean, especially because the good ends in this game are like either bad for Itaru or like very bittersweet, even if they have a negative like. Actually, I think the thing that is consistent with all the good endings is a sense of self-actualization. With Ivy, she commits suicide, but she did it with someone she loved, and after being approved of as her normal self that had been rejected all her life. Um, with Daffodil, it's a little bit more complicated because she's like preying upon Itaru, but like she's she's very terribly handling her own trauma that she had from a very young age. We find out in like the post-credit scene, and like she's definitely not doing like coping with that healthily, but she is sort of self-actualized in a way. Um, and it seems it's probably not the first time that she's like killed a man who she felt was gonna try to take sexual advantage of her. Um, with Hydrogena, yes, she commits suicide and like kind of is like I am hopeless, but like although we certainly don't endorse suicide, we certainly feel like there are people who decide to not be here anymore that like if they can't be talked down, I don't think that means that they should be forced against their will to be in a padded room where they can't ever hurt themselves because they're a danger to themselves. I mean, even outside of like, euthanasia or whatever, like ending your own life does have like that have a tinge of like going out on your own terms, and that's self-actualization. Who am I forgetting? Oh, the one that I feel most resonates with the whole self-actualization thingy would be I forgot what the purple flower was. Um but she kind of was in like an arranged marriage and didn't have any recourse. She was going to have to like say goodbye to the person that she had fallen in love with, Itaru, and like basically was gonna have her whole life decided for her, and she decided to go out on her own terms. Another suicide, but like that one is like so was just so heart wrenching for us, especially the first time we played it. It was just like, yeah, I hate that she was in that situation, but I'm glad that she was able to have at least a little bit of control of her life at the end. And like with the response in this story to I hate you, it's okay, Matsuri is self-actualizing in a way, but like she's doing it in a really fucked up way. Like we knew someone who failed an attempt on their own life, but like jumped in front of a car, but the car broke. It still hit them, but it didn't like kill them, and they took them to the hospital. And like I remember that our friends in that friend group had responded to that attempt like, I don't approve of you trying to hurt yourself and trying to, like leave and not like, talk to your friends and get support. But also, it's kind of selfish of you to like make your death have to do with someone else. Like throwing yourself in front of a car. We remember one of our friends being like, that's really, really selfish. Like, trying to hurt yourself in a way that could hurt or traumatize others is really fucked up, which is what Matsuri is doing here. And like wanting an audience is one thing that's already fucked up, but tying someone down, putting them in a situation where they're more likely to reject you just so you can have a valid reason in your mind to hurt yourself because, well, they hate me, is like incredibly fucked up. And part of the reason why folks with untreated BPD tend to have had such strong negative experiences with partners. There's whole support groups for people who have had loved ones with BPD. where people with BPD are not allowed because they're so traumatized by those experiences of of self-harm, even just emotional self-harm, of feeling like damned if you do, damned if you don't, damned if you don't, which is exactly what this situation is, because with I hate you, you don't want to fuel her own self-mutilation or her own victimhood and hating yourself complex. But on the other end, considering even as a partner, Ataru loving her and everything, and or trying to figure out if he does and trying to do well by her, even though he started out being really dickish. Considering her behavior already, she has not earned the understanding and acceptance that she craves, because she hasn't been like, hey, I'm going through a lot, I haven't had someone who loves me in my life, or whatever her circumstances are, right? She doesn't explain any of that. She fucking stalks him. She fucking hits him in the back of the head. Could have killed him with that. And tied him down and put him into a situation where he is. If he says "I love you," it's certainly even if he does actually believe that, there is a kind of chokehold on him. There is a pressure, there is a power imbalance there. They're not on equal terms right now, so the I love you that I'm about to say to Matsuri, I would say, isn't valid. The power imbalance is too strong in this situation. And I mentioned our own history, and the thing that I just mentioned is actually not what I was referring to. Our own history is the relationship that we were in for the longest relationship we were in our life was someone who we at one point thought maybe teasingly and jokingly had said that they had stalked us. But in retrospect, looking at every single interaction we had with that person and how they ended up in a lot of parts of our life in a lot of places, and we never thought anything of it, especially because we liked them and they were our friend already. But in retrospect, we were stalked, and we did fall in love with our stalker. But it wasn't like this. Not all stalking is what was it, the little window meme with the sicko going, ooh, yes, yes. Not all stalking is like that. Cyber stalking, for example, you can't ever be sure someone's cyber stalking you. In our experience, we went to the same school as the person, so they had a lot of plausible deniability. And at the same time, we also didn't want to, when they said that stuff, validate it by being oh, you were stalking me, because if you like someone, you might want to put yourself in situations where you're gonna run into them more. If you have a crush and you join all the clubs that your crush joins, I wouldn't call you a stalker, right? But that was only the beginning. But by the time it would have been a red flag, this person was already one of the most trusted people in our life, and then soon became the most trusted person in our life. So the red flags, it wasn't that we didn't notice them, but they seemed inconsequential. And knowing that person's history and knowing the things they went through and how hard it was hard for them to connect with people and be loved and not feel abused and stuff, it we were two very hurt people and we had maladaptive behaviors, and I think that there is room for not being okay in a relationship, even a friendship. And not everything that someone does in any sort of relationship is going to be good for them or good for you. And I think that there's nuance and stuff to that, and that's why we have such a strong connection with this particular girl in this particular story. We don't I don't think that this is the way she should have went about things, but I do recognize her pain. I do recognize where she's coming from, but of course I've also seen her good ending, so I also know more than you, but we'll be on the same page really soon. But even with that, I don't expect everyone to be oh, poor Matsuri. I do expect people to still be whew, bullet dodged. And I get that. But I guess with us, especially having most of the people that we've loved the most be really fucked up, have had BPD red flags, have even hurt us in numerous ways, and we still care about them, and sometimes I want them in our life as much as we could or as much as we can handle. even though we recognize that this game hyperbolizes these like disorders and like the fucked up circumstance, not even the fucked up circumstances, because almost everything that's happened to the girls in terms of what is revealed through their history and stuff is certainly plausible and has happened to people and continues to happen to people. That part isn't even like a suspension of disbelief requiring, at least not for us. How some of the stuff goes down, even with that last ending with like the punching so much you bleed, and you can punch yourself so hard you can actually hurt yourself, and like, I mean, that's technically possible, but it's really hard because of a person's like self preservation. You know, it's really hard for someone to, with their bare hands, mutilate themselves. You know, I mean, unless you like dig out your eyes or something. um I don't know if all the things I said just made sense, but I wanted to contextualize our feelings about it, so it didn't seem like I was just like romanticizing the fact that she hurts and just like, oh, you're hurting, so I want to love you so you don't hurt yourself. Because a lot of people fall into that cycle of kind of like what Sonia mentioned with their friend, of like being like, oh, I don't deserve friends, and like kind of fishing for reassurance in a way, and like talking down to themselves, and maybe they don't expect someone to react in a way to reassure them, but like, I think there's a hope in that. I mean, shit, we've even done it. That like, it's not always a zero-sum game, you know? And sometimes even when someone's like obviously fucked up and obviously unhealthy, I don't think that it necessarily means that you are bad or you are naive for trying to love them or trying to be supportive of them. And I guess that's what I was trying to get across. I hope I did. I have no idea if I did. Clown coded picture here. You feel like she's clown coded? I don't know. Maybe a little bit. How you doing, Centillia? Happy All Hallows Eve. Well, the shittiest part of my day should be over. How's Schizoflowers going? Fucking Christ, Specchio. I could slap you. Open palm, obviously. I don't want to hurt you too bad. Fucking Christ. I was just explaining the context of why I feel so strongly about this game, and particularly this route. Ooh woo, Orchid, ooh woo. You're loved, even when you're being a bad bug. The button-up shirt, the big bow tie, the suspenders, Dolgan belt buckle. Oh, that's what that's called. And the blush in the shade. It's close to clown aesthetic. It's good. Huh. Maybe that's an extra layer to why Drizzle likes his character the most. So I have to readjust. There we go. Diaper on tight, but not too tight. I'm glad there's folks in chat understand where I'm coming from and have like experiences that like they can have empathy with. Wow, I sure am doing. Thanks for asking. Are you being sarcastic? I can't tell. Sorry, too autistic. Uh, that doesn't exactly tell me if you're doing well or not. Are you doing well? Right. Alright, time to go to this ending. I love you, Matsuri. Yes, me too. Taru, I love you. Hey, Taru? Let's kiss? I would be delighted to. Ataru, it's strange, isn't it? Why is it that kissing the one you love makes us feel this way? Don't you think this is an eternal mystery? A lovely, lovely riddle for the ages. Even when Ataru and I pass away, we won't be any closer to the answer. Ataru, wanna do it? No, don't get up. Today I'll be taking the lead. What? Afterwards, you can do whatever you want to me, okay? Ataru, embrace me. I push Mitsuri down, embracing her body tightly. Mitsuri gripped me tightly in return. The time has finally come. I don't know how many times I have already dreamed for this moment. At last, Ataru has become mine. For the longest time, I've been watching you. We'll always be together. Your heart is already mine. And my heart is yours, Ataru. I love you. I love you, Ataru. I like you so much. Ataru, I like you. I like you so, so much. Make me as your bride, till death do us part. Will you grant me happiness? Hey, did you know? Ataru? To be broken by the one you love, it's an indescribable happiness, you know? I've been broken for a long time now, so I want to be broken physically too. I'll burn myself into your memory so intensely you'll never forget about me. So that I'll always live on inside of you. And so, Ataru, my request, will you hear me out? Can I get untied now? Thank you. Please take a hold of my neck. Did you not hear me? Then I'll say it again. Break me, Ataru. Although Mitsuri seemed to be in pain, she showed no signs of resistance. As the one entrusted with Mitsuri's final request, I took a hold of her neck. She seemed to be trying to speak, so I loosened my grip slightly. Talu. Wonderful. Do it more. More. to be strangled by a Taru even more. Feels good. Grip me even more strongly, please. Ataru. Strong enough to break me. Please, I beg of you. Break me, Ataru. Ataru, I love you. More. Break me even harder. Because I love you. Mitsuri and I were both engulfed in madness. I strangled Mitsuri's neck with more and more fervor. I don't know how much time had passed. But by the time I had regained my senses, it was already too late. It was just a moment. But that short period was a time filled with only happiness. When I noticed Matsuri's breath had stopped, to be broken by the one you love. It's an indescribable happiness, you know? It's an indescribable happiness, you know? Matsuri's words floated in my head. I had no regrets. No, I was happy. Matsuri had a very peaceful expression, as if asleep. Happy end. A thing without form. I said a lot about understanding Matsuri and knowing someone that kind of reminded me of her in certain ways. Definitely not to this degree, right? And I definitely don't approve of the whole killing her part. I guess technically it was like a crime of passion, sort of. I mean, snuff is a thing. Some people literally have a snuff fetish. And as far as asphyxiation goes, well, we kind of like asphyxiation. We don't want to die from it, though. And it's usually safer with a partner instead of trying to do it yourself and getting yourself in a situation where you accidentally hurt yourself. And yeah, you're not supposed to kill someone just because they asked you to. Although apparently in Canada, assisted suicide is legal now. So, a licensed physician can help you. I mean, she really needed help though. I don't exactly like to always be like, well, in this situation, I would have. But I think it's appropriate here to be like, it probably... Once you're gonna handcuff me, handcuff her, call like an ambulance slash, well, yeah, I would say ambulance, not cops. Because cops kill people a lot. And try to get her some help. I mean, I hate to, like, be on that ish. Of like, oh, you just need help. And it's like, I don't know how to resolve, like, her issues. But even this ending is selfish of her. To ask someone to kill her without even thinking about how that will affect the person. Not just the trauma, but you know, I don't know, going to jail for murder or at the very least manslaughter? Though I understand the little bit of romanticism in like being killed by someone you love. As weird as that is to say. I think this game actually kind of got us into yanderes, because we never like actually had a actual appreciation for yanderes. We mostly just put up with them and art that we did like. But it was an interesting perspective on it. Even if it didn't do as much as I would have liked it to do. I had always wished for it. I'd always searched for it. A person who can grant my wish. To be broken at the hands of my beloved. To be released from this world. Someone kill me. Someone please grant it. My only wish. I want to disappear. Even though I wanted to die. No matter how many times I wished, the world would not grant it to me. I was always happily smiling on the outside. Inside, the desire to die was unbearable. I could make anybody laugh, but my own heart was filled with despair. No matter how tough it was, or how badly I wanted to disappear, I could do nothing but laugh and smile. I had to keep on living in this dark and painful place. No matter where I went, people would tell me such things as, "You're such a bright person. What do you even know about me? Your smile lifts everyone's spirits. Don't decide that by yourself. You are shining like the sun. You are just projecting your own image of a cheerful girl onto me. Who decided that I was a bright person? No one understands me but myself. You people who ignorantly project your fantasies onto me. Every one of you would leave me if you knew the real me. Don't look at me. Don't poke into my business. Don't hurt me any more than this. Just leave me be. At the end of this painful journey, I finally met you. You were the one who granted my wish. Truly, you're the one I have been searching for all this time. Here is where I meet my end. A tranquil place of eternal rest. Fuck. So yeah, in case this is the first time someone watching has seen us play this, yeah, the good and bad ends all result in the girl's death, and usually also Ataru's as well. Let's see, Ataru dies in the bad ends of all of them, but in the bad ends of everyone but red and purple. And only doesn't die in the good end of... No, only doesn't die in the good end of red and purple, but also doesn't die in the bad end of red. Definitely dies in the bad end of purple. Ataru usually dies as well. There's one story of a guy getting assisted suicide, taking a sip of barbitrates, and going, wow, this tastes terrible. And his friend going, dude, what? Really? Let me try. And taking a swig. The friend survived. Zero brain cells going on there. Alright, time for the epilogue. I literally wrote Kezen Noto in the title of stream just so I wouldn't have to look it up or go in... Well, I already looked it up. So I wouldn't have to put together the words from all the ends of all the stories to actually construct the word, just to be sure. Because you have to put in a password that you get from getting the good end for all the stories. I don't know if Flower Bed will actually satisfy everyone in terms of wrapping up the whole story, because it really is just a direct statement about the, I guess, the guiding like principles of the game, or what the game was trying to say, in a sort of diegetic way. But I guess we'll see in a minute. This is an extra scenario after completing all routes. Please enter your password here. Kana Zotano means the sound of the wind. It's funny that if you don't put it in right, that it literally just goes, yeah, we're going back to the title screen. I guess I'll type it in. K-A-Z-E-N-O-O-T-O. Yeah, I guess I have to type it in. I can hear the sound of the wind. Is this the outside? Have I finally gotten out? Open your eyes. Isn't the sky beautiful? A blue sky and a flower field spread out before my eyes. Hey, isn't it a wonderful world? This world is so beautiful. Here, someone has planted a flower field. Somebody has raised these flowers, and one by one, they bloom. It might have been you, or it might have been me. Or it might have been someone else. I hope that you too will raise a flower. Depending on the one who raised it, the seed might bloom into a completely different flower. From the flower that you grow, what kind of color might bloom? We always justify our actions with no regard for others' feelings. We commit numerous sins without even noticing them, even though we know our violent actions will hurt others, even though we know our cruel words will hurt others. We all know this, but pretend not to know. The more we sin, the more we avert our eyes and push the blame on others. We do not realize we are the guilty ones. You knew as well, didn't you? That in this world of ours, even a simple truth like, I love you, will become twisted and distorted. A terribly cruel and irrational world. The flower of dreams bloomed in a vortex of madness. A flower of love, madness and oddity, of sadness and beauty. Many horrors flowed from the flowers I raised. Soon, no one could distinguish dreams from reality. But even so, no matter how terrible this world may be, we cannot live anywhere else. No matter how cruel this world may be, we have nowhere else to call home. No matter how irrational this world may be, we are not permitted to end our life. So we will set our roots in this rotten earth. And bloom into hideous flowers. Blooming, but once in the jungle of life. True end. The Rafflesia of this mortal life. So normally, the screen you saw was not a surprise or new because that was on the title screen. But this title screen only shows up once you've actually seen Flower Bed. But even with deleting and reinstalling the game, I could not figure out how to reset the title screen, which usually only just has Jasmine on it. I guess it was semi-diegetic because it was really just the author talking at us. The character that showed up at first, that was revealed to have been the person talking at the beginning of all the paths, is actually a character in another game from Charon that we haven't played, that we don't know if there's any translation for, fan or otherwise. We have a lot of feelings about this game, and we weren't sure if we should be cynical about it when we first played it until we saw Flowerbed. Because what we took from the message was that, like, okay, yes, this is a terribly cruel and irrational world, and it destroys people. And the soil that we live in, the society, the communities that we are in, the people in our lives that harm us, might grow us into ugly flowers. But it's kind of like, in a simple way, I suppose it's like trying to make the most of it, you know, deal with the hand you're dealt, I suppose. I think that Charon's work, as far as we've seen in other games, seems to support this thesis. And it's kind of like a through line through a lot of their games, though we won't know until we play more of them, which we plan to. Charon does still make games. And I guess this was made in 2017, so not that old, but pre-pandemic. A MenheRa is a sort of derogatory, or a reclaimed derogatory term, I suppose, for someone who is mentally ill, especially a girl. It's something from like sort of Japanese pop culture that's come up in the last few years. I think it honestly has a lot to do with stuff like hikikomori and neets and stuff as well, because there's a big overlap between all three of those things. Because a lot of neets, a lot of people who are not in education, employment, or training, and a lot of people who spend all their time indoors because they're afraid of going outside and afraid of interacting with the outside world that has hurt them, are very, very, very often disabled. Very often mentally ill. And even if you are disabled in a physical way, a lot of times you'll have comorbidities of stuff like depression and anxiety, because we live in a terribly cruel and irrational world that makes you feel like shit if you don't fit in. And honestly, it's not a surprise that people tend to have anxiety and PTSD and stuff, even when they otherwise seem very healthy. And I mean, it's definitely more than just a Japanese thing, right? And especially since the pandemic is only exacerbated because a lot more people are disabled because COVID disables you. And the problem is only getting worse. And as much as there's a lot of talk of hope and it gets better and stuff, some people will not get to see a better life. And sometimes it's from them choosing not to. And sometimes it's from, I don't know, you being the subject of a genocide that indiscriminately of whether you did anything wrong kills you, even if you're in a hospital. Yes, I'm referencing Palestine, Free Palestine. And there's a lot of fucked up shit in the world. I definitely try not to romanticize real world tragedy too much. Because it's kind of fucked up, and like, I don't want people to suffer. And we certainly have moved past the whole like concept of, oh, like pain and tragedy makes you stronger, because it damn sure doesn't. And sometimes you have to have resiliency in this world when you really shouldn't have to. And we do hope for a better world. And although we're all growing in soil that is polluted or damaged, or the folks tending our seeds and flowers, be it parents or community members or community leaders or people we look up to, might harm us and disfigure us, and we might not grow into the flowers that we want it to be. Sometimes it's good to hold on and not give up and encourage other flowers to bloom, even if it's short-lived or even if it's painful. I mean, this feeds into like the whole thing that Drizzle has as like a motif for herself of being a sunflower and everything, and into our whole thing of your life will be filled with happiness and sadness, and that's okay. A lot of times we'll have that be in the raid message when we raid a streamer, and sometimes more often lately than not, they'll have a negative reaction to it. And sometimes it's just like, it's a little pang in our heart, because it's like, I mean, I understand a lot of people don't want to hear that, but at the same time, like, there are negatives and positives. There are sweet and sour. And although I don't think that, like, tragedy and, like, abuse make you better, sadness is a part of life. Bad things are a part of life. Things can't be happy all the time. And you appreciate the good times more in stark contrast to the bad times. And maybe that's a cope, but like, people who have suffered deserve happiness too. And even if you've been hurt, you can still make the most of your life. It doesn't have to be over. It doesn't have to be like these girls. You don't have to solve your pain through not being around anymore, or through hurting others. And if we support each other, then maybe a flower bed will grow of flowers that maybe aren't all what we expected them to be, but definitely were worth growing. But that's just our take. I want to live in Japan when I was younger, but now I don't. It's like the neo-lib capital of the universe. I think just like anywhere that's like seen as like socially bad or like kind of fucked up in certain ways, like how a lot of people were fleeing the South because of like anti-trans laws and stuff like that, that there's good stuff too. Though honestly, like, I'd be scared to live in Japan for a lot of reasons. Not just being trans, not just being queer, not just being neurodivergent, but, you know, a lot of stuff. I think America is pretty neo-lib. I think Japan and America are pretty similar in that way. Have very similar conviction rates for criminals. Japan definitely treats people who are, like, accused of a crime or like brought into custody even worse than the American justice system, so there is also that. And although the stark hyper individualism that America has is definitely bad, the sense of, as far as we know in Japanese culture, of like hyper community based, you're supposed to do anything you can to make your community better, or not even better, to not have your problems like take up bandwidth for the community, I think is just as harmful as the hyper individualism we find in America. I'm sure there's a lot of great stuff in Japan. I mean, I want to visit at least, but I totally get where you're coming from. This was the longest episode, and not because of Flower Bed, because I talked a lot more in between moments. But it was a lot I had to get out, especially because this was the last episode. Until I play the remake. Thank you, Charon, for making this game, and thank you everybody for watching. This was MenheRafflesia. Grow your flowers the best you can. I believe in you. and bring plenty of fertilizer.